Good morning, Converge Church. This is Pastor Jonathan, and we are excited to be with you today because our topic is living biblically at work. And so we're going to talk about what it means to live biblically at work. How do you do that? And I have the Bowmans, Ryan and Carly, and I'm going to ask them a few questions, and they're going to talk about how they live out their faith in their work. So on the topic of living biblically at work, I know a lot of people have hybrid situations. Some work from home, some work from home, but they also go into the office. But I believe that both of you work in your location. So what are some of the challenges that you've seen as a Christian kind of working in an office, and how do you display your faith? How do you do that?
Yeah, so for me, I went from a school situation to now an office situation, and they're so different because I feel like in the school situation, I'm in front of people all the time, it looks a little different. And then in the office situation, I'm in a cubicle. I don't see people nearly as much throughout the day. I communicate with them over phone calls, but face-to-face isn't as much. So I think one of the bigger challenges for me at the moment is how am I stewarding my time? And how do I spend the time that they're expecting me to work and doing that well? So just being honest and truthful and faithful in the hours that I've been given, and trying to do the best I can in that, and honor the Lord, even when maybe they're not watching as closely. So
that's good.
How about you, Carly?
I would say, so I'm a registered nurse, so I work with people all day. So I would say in the hospital environment, it can be very challenging. Most of my coworkers are unbelievers. And so that environment can get very negative. It can be unhealthy, some of the way people talk or some of the things that people are saying. A lot of times I'm uncomfortable with because of my faith. And so there are definitely opportunities I've had one-on-one to build with coworkers where I'm able to speak into that and share my faith and have opportunities to pour into them. But also as a believer, I think there's times where I feel like the Lord is calling me from those situations, and He's calling me maybe to be by myself, and it can be lonely at times because I'm not participating in those things, and it can be lonely, but also I know the Lord's meeting me there, and I'm accountable before Him first and foremost. So there's a sweet, I think, communion that happens in those moments that only He sees my heart, and I could choose to, whether it be participate in gossip or slander or something like that, or I can be pulled away and just have those moments with the Lord and just choose the quiet in those times too. So I would say that's one of my challenges, is kind of being in an environment where people don't share the values and the same convictions.
Right. You almost have to create your own sanctuary at work within the midst of sort of an ungodly culture. And so you have to find God there. What does it mean for you to live biblically? Maybe some people that don't have to work, don't have to go into an office every day. It's different for you. You've already touched on how sometimes the environments are different. But what are some things that you've had to do on your way to work, or to kind of prepare yourself when you go into the office or to the hospital?
Yeah. I'll probably speak on my first job, because I think that was this one right now, I'm pretty close to where I live, so it's a very short drive. My first job was really difficult. I was in a school about 50 minutes away, and it was kind of really beat me up. Just the environment, the inner staff, gossip, and the administration was, they were challenging in terms of how they treated their teachers. and that was like during like the COVID year. So it was, there was a lot going on there. And yeah, I would spend time like in the car, just listening to some worship music. I would spend some time listening to maybe like a prayer podcast where it would just walk through like a little bit of a prayer and just try and get my mindset right each day. It was a time that kind of brought a lot of anxiety and stress. So I was just trying to meet the Lord in that time. And yeah, just use that time like driving into work to do the best I could to focus on Him. And I wasn't great every day with that. There were days where I would kind of just not do that, like listen to maybe like a sports show or something like that. But I think it was a good habit. And yeah, when I spent the time to give it to the Lord, and
It made a difference.
yeah,
It made a difference.
try and set the mindset right, like especially that early in the morning. Just first thing, go to the Lord. I think it's a good habit, and yeah.
I was thinking, not necessarily like with a coworker, but more with just like patients, since we're caring for patients and like kind of having conversations with patients and family members all day. There's a lot of times where, you know, emotions run high because people are in the hospital and they're, you know, they're in vulnerable situations. So there's a lot of times where you can be wrongly accused of something, or people are taking out their frustration and their anger on you. And kind of like what Ryan was saying, like in the flesh, it's so easy to want to not even retaliate, but just try to prove yourself or try to, I don't know, have an answer and just try to, like in your pride, you just want to respond back a certain way. But I've definitely had moments where I can literally feel like the Holy Spirit's peace come over me, and I'm able to respond in a way that I know is not from me. It's from the Lord, because in my flesh, I would not be responding with that patience or that kindness, because that's not at all, you know, our first initial reaction. But being able to meet anger and maybe like wrongful accusations with kindness and grace, and then being able to see people's reactions just flip, and seeing them like be like, oh, like so taken aback by your grace and understanding in the situation, and seeing just like a surprise that reaction, but also meeting people with like love and kindness even when we don't necessarily, I guess, want to deep down, or feel like we're even able to in those moments.
Yeah, it's you're empowered by the Holy Spirit to do that, and you have to deal with situations that are confrontational at work. I knew a young lady who she's working in an environment where they just do not appreciate her. I mean, she was telling me like, how do I win over my coworkers? She was baking food. I mean, she was doing nice things, and they still were like just treating her really bad. And what I've understood and come to realize is an unsafe person will never, ever give you the response that that God gives you. In your work environments, it's going to be a challenge. But what you have to do is realize that you're working there for the Lord. And then if God gives you the open door, you share your faith. And some people are good. They're just like, hey, you know, they'll call you out. And I remember a situation where I had a person I reported to. They called me out in front of the whole office. And man, I just wanted to if I could go back and do that moment over, I would have pulled her to the side and said, listen, I treat you with respect. You treat me with respect. And I think we should do that. But I was young. I didn't know. And I didn't think I had that ability, but I do as a believer. I have the authority. I have the power, and I'm empowered by the word. So, you know, what's the worst that could happen, right? Okay, you lose your job. Well, that's bad. But if God is with you and you're standing up for Him, God will provide. God will do that. So, all right. So, final question. Along this whole theme of living biblically, how would you encourage people in your fields, in your professions, to live biblically at work? How would you encourage them to do that?
Say, just live like you know the Lord is watching, and because He is, and it may not feel like He is at times, and it may feel like you're alone or difficult days and long days, and you may feel a little bit more distant from Him at times, but maybe use that situation as an opportunity to call out to Him and be like, Lord, like how do I do this? And just rely on Him for being able to live in a way that would be honoring to Him. Because in our own flesh, and when we're not connected to the Lord as much as maybe we could be, we can't do it. Like, we need His strength and His help, because as we've been talking about, like, people who don't have the Spirit, like, they don't have the ability to live biblically. So their flesh is kind of what drives them. And yeah, we need Him. Like, we're all broken people, and yeah, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I like what you said. But yeah, just being rooted in the Word.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, yeah, knowing your scriptures, relying on the Lord each and every day for your strength, because again, we can't do it in our own strength. It's challenging, regardless of what work situation that you're in. We need the Lord, we need the Holy Spirit to guide us and to give us the strength to navigate our days. And I would say too, just having a posture of doing everything onto the Lord, regardless of if anyone's watching, regardless of if you're going to get any, praise or accolades for it. Just using every opportunity to honor Him, regardless of what the job is, whether you're, minimum wage worker or you're a CEO. You want to make sure that everything you're doing is onto the Lord, and just having like a heart of service for Him.
Good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. So, as the Bowmans have displayed and shared, working in an environment, living biblically at work can be a challenge at times, but God is with you. God is strengthening you, and do what you need to do to show up and to represent Him well. Thank you for joining us, and let's continue to live biblically at work.